The story begins when one day, out of nowhere, a massive crack appears in skies, emitting a vibrant blue aura that swiftly spreads across the entire globe. People name it mana, and a minority, particularly sensitive to mana, emerges. These individuals, known as the Awakened, gain special abilities from this influence. After that incident, the mana storm suddenly ceases, but an eerie crack in the sky persists. As people grow accustomed to the existence of the Awakened, mana storms sweep through the world. For the first few hours, people can't comprehend the cause of this phenomenon until the passage between dimensions cracks. These portals are dubbed gates opened, and the unseen monsters infiltrate our world. This event sparked an instant panic among the population. Governments went powerless against these creatures, and our world underwent a cataclysm, and restoring normalcy poses a considerable challenge. The human race is left with only one option: to fight for the right to live and prevent the destruction of the entire species. This guy believes that everything will take a turn for the better once he awakens. The prospect of hard work no longer appeals to him. It isn't that he seeks admiration or power over others, nor does he desire to instill fear. His most modest wish is to avoid being exploited or mistreated, regardless of the circumstances. However, resorting to violence is out of the question for him. All he longs for is a friend, a seemingly unattainable dream. The boy, sensitive to mana, earns the moniker of the Awakened One. Regrettably, his abilities prove feeble, making him one of the weakest among those blessed with mana skills, an individual incapable of standing alone or aiding his comrades, utterly useless. Aware that an undignified death awaits him one day, the boy refuses to accept such a fate easily. He isn't ready to meet his end, so defenseless. Dying now seems pointless, and he can't bear the thought of it. The guy is determined not to succumb so helplessly. If he could only become stronger, perhaps everything would change. No more hiding behind comrades or endangering them to save himself. No more trembling in fear at the sight of even the weakest foe. If he could become the strongest, even in a support role, maybe his life would unfold differently. This is the voice of the system. You have opened the stream. The mission is complete. You have met all the conditions to become a player. Shin Junso Nim. Late and out of breath, Shin Junso, a D-rank support and weapon creator, arrived at the Duwon Guild meeting. Among the attendees were Kim Jimin, a C-rank fighter, and Lim Duwon, a C-rank guarder. Duwon playfully scolded Junso for being tardy, causing laughter. Despite initial anxiety, Junso sought to prove his worth. Moon Doyun, a B-rank assassin, approached Junso. Learning it was his first dungeon raid as a support, Doyun advised him on maintaining a careful distance and crafting a dagger when signaled. Junso, eager to contribute, inquired about additional weapons. Doyun reassured him and emphasized not overworking on his debut raid. Lei Kunwu, the guild's E-rank mage, sensed nearby mana, signaling potential danger. As they prepared for battle, Hyunwoo identified 3 small monsters and 1 larger threat. Doyun, surprised by the unusual boss presence, questioned Junso's speed in crafting. Junso, confident, pledged to create a dagger in 20 seconds. Doyun instructed him to start immediately. Suddenly, 3 crystal lizards charged the guild, and without any delay, Duwon summoned his aura, delivering a powerful stomp and shield slam that sent the lizards airborne. Chim followed, executing a swift flip and delivering a powerful punch, but the lizard's unexpectedly fast healing surprised her. In order to assist his mates, Lei Hyunwoo unleashed a barrage of fiery explosions, eliciting cheers from the guild. Junso, entranced by the display, momentarily lost focus. This is when Duwon urgently inquired about the weapon, snapping Junso back to reality. He refocused, and in under a minute, crafted a dagger for him. Meanwhile, Doyun, skillfully infusing it with shadow power, swiftly dispatched a crystal lizard. With the threat neutralized, Duwon checked on everyone's well-being. Junso, impressed by their seamless teamwork, envisioned the guild's potential for greatness. Approaching Junso, Duwon commended his efforts. Junso, feeling inadequate, awkwardly chuckled, expressing his perceived lack of usefulness. Doyun attempted to uplift him, noting the cost-saving aspect of his weapon creation skill. Duwon, wearing a bright smile, reassured Junso and looked forward to future raids, thanking Doyun. The tank suggested collecting loot, but the guild was startled by tremors. Jim questioned if it was an earthquake, and Junso pointed to falling stones. Hyunwoo, using magic, identified a potential pathway to somewhere unknown. Duwon, excited about a secret passage, suggested seeking hidden treasures. Jim enthusiastically agreed, while Doyun, more reserved, inquired about potential threats. Hyunwoo couldn't detect anything, prompting Doyun to urge swift exploration before the place deteriorated. Hyunwoo, resigned, agreed to join if the guild master approved. They all went marching to the pathway with Junso at the back. That was when the monster appeared out of nowhere. Junso couldn't remember how things ended up like this. Everyone in their guild was gone except him. This monster shouldn't have been in a D-ranked dungeon in the first place. He looked behind and saw the monster caught up to him. He was thrown from a distance after receiving a powerful strike. He coughed out blood. His body was shaking while trying to get up from the pain. He noticed the monster launching for another attack, and he thought he could not perish like this. After creating a dagger, he threw it at the monster with all his strength. The blade bounced off, and the monster immediately charged toward him for another punch. Junseo dodged it, but the floor was shattered into pieces. He fell into the darkness and into the water. He slowly sank when he reminisced about the guild that needed him, even if he could only create weapons. He thought he ended up leaving and abandoning those amazing people. Before closing his eyes, he wished he had never become an awakened, because his dream was something he could never have attained. His eyes opened widely when a notification window popped before him. His body glowed so brightly as he stared at the window welcoming him. Surprised by the invitation to witness a new reward, Junseo, unsure of what was happening, reluctantly clicks yes. Suddenly, he finds himself emerging from water, ascending stairs to face the monster once more. However, this time is different. He has inherited experiences from a previous life. His eyes gleam as he summons multiple swords, striking the monster with precision. Overwhelmed by a wave of memories, Junseo grabs his head, perplexed by the unfolding events. Facing the monster up close, he summons a robust shield, astounded that it blocks the creature's attack without damage. Leaping backward, Junseo, recalling the memories, realizes the golem-type monster has no apparent weak points. Utilizing a skill called Grid World, he inflicts damage from various angles simultaneously, watching as the swords slice the golem into crystal stone chunks. Approaching the defeated monster, he marvels at the unexpected evolution of Grid World from a mere auxiliary skill to a formidable attack skill. The system window declares Junseo's success in defeating the boss. A radiant violet aura emanates from the golem, coalescing into an orb as Junseo unconsciously employs his passive skill, Magic Absorption. Staring at his palm, memories from a future where the world is falling flash before him. In that dystopian future, Junseo absorbs experiences and knowledge beyond his current comprehension. Reflecting on his newfound status screen as a player, Junseo is amazed at his awakening. According to his memories, players don't exist in this world yet. It will be another 2 years before a select few awakeners, including him, are chosen. The system, a mysterious entity, provides rewards like strength and skills distinct from their initial awakening abilities. These rewards fuel explosive growth for players, distinguishing them from other awakeners. The Duon Guild, led by a player guild leader, has become a first-class guild, catalyzing Junseo's growth. He now realizes that standing confidently with a developing guild in his previous life has been more than convenient. The Magic Absorption skill, a newfound ability, isn't part of his previous turn's repertoire, highlighting the unpredictable nature of this awakening. Junseo contemplates if any other player possesses the unique skill that accumulates energy from contaminated mana. Returning to his guild members, he prioritizes dealing with the bodies in the tall building, the Hunters Association headquarters. An investigating member suggests sending the survivor, Junseo, home, prompting confusion about their small guild having an accident in an unconfirmed dungeon where only a D-rank supporter survived. The man is perplexed by how Junseo, the supporter, manages the bodies and reports the incident to the association with apparent ease. The one apparently curious about the incident is about to inquire if Junseo had eliminated a fellow hunter, but her senior rebukes her, emphasizing the situation's gravity. The man explains the risk hunters take when reporting gate discoveries and the meager compensation received from the association. He adds that winning a bid on a gate is nearly impossible for a small guild. As the man leaves the room, he glances at Junseo's name, Shin Junseo, feeling a lingering suspicion despite Junseo's seemingly calm demeanor during the interrogation. Recognizing that Junseo's composure contradicts the expected panic after witnessing an accident on his first dungeon raid, the man senses something undisclosed in Junseo's story. Frustrated, he sighs, acknowledging that it isn't his immediate concern. Walking with his focus on his phone, Junseo seeks answers about the unconfirmed dungeon. Recalling that all guild members have checked the gate bid form with the association stamp, he suspects forgery or impersonation. The possibility of the association's involvement crosses his mind, a concern not limited to Duon Guild, as other guilds face similar issues of unconfirmed gates and missing individuals. Observing a common theme in news reports, guilds featuring players like guild leader Moon Do-yoon and future heroes, Junseo deduces a motive. Someone aims to erase the existence of these heroes. To protect himself, Junseo decides to conceal his abilities, aware that any suspicious actions could lead to discovery. Scanning the windows for a usable skill, Junseo smiles upon finding one and taps the window. A year later, in the woods, echoes of stomping and clashing sounds resonate. A blonde-haired man clashes swords with a monster, but shockingly, the blade cracks in half. Sent flying by a shield push, the man, recovering, struggles against the approaching monster. Huffing and trembling, his guild members face the high-ranked Null Lord with fear. The blond man, now shivering, stands up, pointing his broken sword at the Null Lord. Despite the Null Lord's menacing charge, a lightning speed intervenes from behind. Using his shield, the man blocks the monster but realizes its overwhelming strength. In desperation, he screams, urging his comrades to focus on damaging the Null Lord instead of futilely blocking. Null Lords are notorious as death gods for low-level hunters, not due to physical prowess, but their weakness to magic. Confident low-level hunters face fear as the Null Lord defies magical norms. The blond man, frustrated with a destroyed weapon, ponders his lack of spare weaponry. His attention shifts to a person holding a pickaxe, sparking an idea for a different approach. The helper, known for collecting and transporting magic stones, is also the team's errand boy. The blond man, recalling the recruitment of this helper, calls out to Junso when he turns around. The man urgently asks if Junso can make swords, showing his broken weapon. Junso, warmly stating his role as a helper and not a support, apologizes. The frustrated man insists they are on the verge of perishing. Junso sighs, laying out a condition. After clearing the dungeon, they must forget his ability and pay him the average support amount. The blond man, bewildered, questions Junso's belief in clearing a dungeon with just weapons. Junso chuckles, emphasizing the importance of quality weapons for success. Meanwhile, at Overkill Guild, a major Korean guild, a woman informs the president about a cooperation request from the Awakeners Association regarding a dungeon with a rank error. The president, noticing a familiar face in the Clear Dungeon article, realizes the man had been present during a dungeon with a rank error a few weeks ago. Intrigued, he notes the rarity of a survivor in error dungeons, especially one who had been the sole survivor twice. Recognizing the potential significance, he ponders the unusual circumstances and the criticism the association is facing for misjudging dungeon ranks. The president notes that guilds with trespass skills are experiencing increased income and inquires if the woman has explored the matter he asked about. She mentions her inability to find weapons ranked S and above, but shares that she received a B-ranked weapon from a Japanese blacksmith. The president cautions that weapons below rank A would likely get destroyed by the helper's skill and advises her to continue the investigation. Their conversation is interrupted by a knock, and a man emerges, reporting a sudden change in the dungeon rank from D to S after their newbies entered. Determined not to lose the newbies, Taehyun opts to visit the gate himself. Outside, the Overkill Guild arrives at a massive red gate guarded by suited men, drawing attention from reporters. Cameras and questions bombard them as the Overkill Guild reaches the site. Learning the team entered 2 hours ago with 6 hunters, 2 supports, and 1 helper, Taehyun pledges to do whatever he can to assist. The guild master, Taehyun, and a woman named Min Hiso approach the gate. Taehyun drops a weapon case and, with Min Hiso's assistance, infuses his sword with power, activating the trespass skill and illuminating the sword with a blazing aura. The gate cracks open, revealing its power to breach any wall or barrier, but only the caster can trespass it. Tan's blade shatters upon entry, and Min Hiso hands him another, cautioning him to be careful. Taehyun follows her inside, assessing the environment, temperature, humidity, and lack of pollutants. It does not take him long to deduce that it's a reptilian monster. As he enters, he hopes for his team's survival, preparing for the worst. Inside, Taehyun encounters a shocking sight. Against all the odds, he finds his team alive and battling lizardmen. One of them drops a sword, paralyzed by fear as a lizardman looms over him. Taehyun, witnessing the scene, sprints to intervene. A clash ensues and a glowing sword emerges in the clash, aiming to block the monster's attack. Taehyun, bewildered by the sight, looks around and recognizes Junso, the helper. His attention shifts to an unfamiliar face among his team's newbies, and he locks eyes with Junso amidst the tense silence enveloping them.